Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanathimirantasya Gnanaanjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Teachings of Queen Kunti, Chapter 22, continued. Yesterday we were discussing gopis were so anxious to see Krishna back home in the evening that they would stand on the path looking to see Krishna returning with his calves and cows. This is Krishna consciousness. Krishna cannot be absent from a devotee when the devotee is intensely absorbed in Krishna thought. This is yesterday. His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu came a class in ISKCON Holy Mau, and he was talking about this Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. So this Manmana means think of me in your mind. So very beautifully he explained how we can think about Krishna. We can think about Krishna's form, beautiful form. We can think about Krishna's beautiful qualities. We talked about many qualities of Krishna, like he is very compassionate, he's ocean of good character, then he is beautiful, he is sweet, he is very grave, and then his affection towards his devotees, Dhira, Atsalya, and Gambhira. There is one more. Can't remember. So, multiple qualities of Krishna that we can meditate on. Krishna's beautiful form we can meditate on. We can think of intensely. Krishna's pastimes, very easy to remember. Krishna's devotees. So when we are thinking about all this, we are not away from Krishna. So Krishna cannot be absent. Krishna is present when we are intensely thinking. That is why when we are in the process of Shravanam, we have to very deeply absorb ourselves in the Shravanam. Then we are not away from Krishna. We are actually in the association of Krishna. But the important thing is we have to be intensely absorbed. We'll be intensely absorbed on something which we are very attached to, or we want it. Materially, we want so many things, so we're intensely absorbed in these material things, right? Like, okay, somebody working, they're thinking about, okay, I have to do this, I have to submit this, I have to make this presentation. They're intensely absorbed. Somebody wanting to make money, they're intensely absorbed in making money. Somebody wanting to cheat, intensely absorbed in cheating. So all of us are intensely absorbed in our own material works, but the same intense absorption has to come, it has to be related to Krishna. But that intense absorption will not happen till the material intense absorption reduces. This I've been telling multiple times. The same thing, same fact. Telling again and again. That material absorption has to reduce. So we have to put effort to reduce this material absorption. Then only intense absorption for Krishna will increase. And of course, material absorption will also reduce to the extent of time that we give to Krishna. So suppose we are able to spend 1 or 2 hours every day reading about Krishna, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. Then because of that much time, disproportionately it will have an impact on reducing our material absorption. Disproportionately meaning If you do for 2 hours, the material absorption will reduce by a huge quantity, by to a great extent. Mm. So we have to give time. We have to give time to hear about Krishna, associate with Krishna's devotees who are intensely absorbed in Krishna thought. Right, then we can develop this. But this is very, very important. This is very important. Mm. Here, Kunti Devi is very much anxious, thinking that Krishna will be absent. But the actual effect of Krishna's physical absence is that he becomes more intensely present within the mind of the devotee. Now, this we cannot maybe fully understand at this point of time because we are all still wanting Krishna's physical presence, right? Or we want to. We are only able to fully appreciate sight today, right? The sense of sight, meaning when we see something that has the greatest impact. For example, when we see the beautiful form of Krishna in the temple, that physical presence actually, invigorates us more. It energizes more than Shravanam. That is because of the way of Kali Yuga and how we have grown up, etc. Right? But actually, Shravanam is even more powerful because obviously seeing Krishna is not possible all the time. Shravanam is possible all the time. And when we do intense Shravanam, what happens? Mananam becomes natural, meaning thinking about Krishna in the mind becomes natural. So then, when Krishna is not present, then this Mananam becomes very intense because the devotee cannot be without Krishna for a moment and he is intensely thinking about Krishna in his mind. And thinking about Krishna in his mind also means thinking about Krishna's service. Like day before or something, I shared one message, right? Prabhupada saying that thinking about Krishna's service is also thinking about Krishna. And if we initially we might not be able to directly think about Krishna so intensely, but we can think about service of Krishna intensely. Right? So see, because we have a natural progression, we are engaged in activity in a material world, right? That intensely absorbs us. Now that if we transfer or instead of engaging so intensely in material activity, if we engage ourselves in spiritual activity intensely, then maybe we are in Rajoguna, it's okay. That the spiritual activity, intense spiritual activity will absorb us. When such an intense spiritual activity absorbs us, then purification happens. Then we can actually directly think about Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, qualities, etc. within the mind. Right? So intensely thinking about Krishna service is also not different from Krishna. And it is possibly more natural for us than thinking about Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, etc. And that form of absorption in Krishna also purifies us so powerfully that we can eventually come to actually just thinking about Krishna's form, quality, pastime. Mm. So we have to transition from material absorption to at least spiritual absorption in terms of activity, in terms of service. And then we can come to absorption in terms of Krishna's form, quality, pastimes, etc. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the example of his actual life, taught Vipralambha Seva, service of Krishna in separation. Tears would come from his eyes like torrents of rain, for he would feel everything to be vacant for want of Krishna. This again is not understandable for us. We can understand, but we cannot understand how. Mm, how can everything be vacant? Meaning just shunya, like nothing, not interested in anything, not wanting to do anything. Uh, it's very difficult, right? So, uh, but we should understand that this is the stage we have to go towards, where we so much separation from Krishna that everything seems to be vacant. meaning useless, worthless, meaningless. There are two stages of meeting Krishna. Being personally present with Krishna, personally meeting him, personally talking with him, personally embracing him is called Sambhoga. But there is another way to be with Krishna in separation from him, and this is called Vipralambha. A devotee can benefit from Krishna's association in both ways. And Vipralambha is not whimsical. Vipralambha is the Raganuga Bhakti, right? Which is wherein we are following in the footsteps of Vrajavasi, and but which is all happening in the mind predominantly, absorbing ourselves, the mind, and also engaging in service uh, in feeling of separation from Krishna. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to cry. And physically, he's crying. Torrents of like I come from torrents of rain mm, from his eyes. So that is separation. And there are other higher stages of uh, physical changes that manifest. Mm, but that's a very exalted stage. Primary thing is that they're so much separated from Krishna, they don't even know what is happening to them. So much separation. Because we are now in the material world, we do not see Krishna directly. Nonetheless, we can see him indirectly. For example, if one sees the Pacific Ocean, one can remember Krishna immediately. If one is advanced in spiritual life, this is called meditation. One may think the Pacific Ocean is such a vast mass of water with many large waves, but although I am standing only a few yards from it, I am confident that I am safe. However powerful this ocean may be and however fearful its waves, I am sure that it will not go beyond its limits. How is this happening? By the order of Krishna. Krishna orders, my dear Pacific Ocean, you may be very big and powerful, but you cannot come beyond this line. In this way, one can immediately remember Krishna or God, who is so powerful that even the Pacific Ocean abides by his order. In this way, one can think of Krishna, and that is Krishna consciousness. Now, Prabhupada is just showing how we can always be Krishna conscious because we are in the material world. Similarly, when one sees the sunrise, one can immediately remember Krishna. For Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhasmi Sashi Surya Yoho. I am the shining of the sun and the moon. If one has learned how to see Krishna, one can see him in the sunshine. Our scientists have not created the sun, and although they may juggle words, it is beyond their ability to know what the sun actually is. The Vedanta Sutra says Shastra Yonitvat. One can know everything through the Shastra, the Vedic literature. For example, if one studies the Vedic literature, one can know that the sun is for the what the sun is. For the sun is described in Brahma Samhita. Echakshuresha savita sakalagrahanam raja samasta suramurtirashesha tejaha yasyagnaya brahmati samvrita kala chakro govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. This verse describes the sun as the eye of all the planets, and if one meditates upon this, one can understand that this is a fact. For at night, before the sun rises, one cannot see. So, sun is the eye of all the planets. Sun is also described as the eye of the Lord. The sun is one of his eyes, and the moon is the other in the Upanishads. Therefore, it is said that only when Krishna sees can we see. The sun is also described as Ashesha Tejaha, unlimitedly hot. And what is its function? Yasyagnaya Brahmati Samvrata Kala Chakraha. Sun has its orbit. God has created the sun. Sun has its orbit. Earth doesn't have its orbit. Orbit means on which it will move. God has ordered the sun. You just travel within this orbit and not anywhere else. The scientists say that if the sun were to move a little to one side, the whole universe would be ablaze. And if it moved to the other side, the whole universe would freeze. But by the order of the Supreme, it does not move even 1/10,000th of an inch from where it should be. It always rises exactly at the correct time. Why? There must be some discipline, some obedience, some order. So universal law requires discipline. So we are the only ones who are disobedient, all these jivas in this material world. We've been indisciplined, disobedient, children of Krishna. And so that is why when we talk about discipline, people don't like it. People say, leave me to be what I am, who I am, even after coming to bhakti. If there's no discipline, shishya, shash dhatu means discipline, shist, discipline, right? So if we don't if we are not disciplined, if we are not obedient, then we are not going to make progress spiritually. There has to be some order. I see so many times, uh, like devotees, they don't see anybody as seniors in bhakti. They just think everybody is same. Of course, this is because of ignorance. They have not really read Shastra. They have not heard Shastra properly. So they're thinking everybody is equal. Everybody is not equal. Especially in spiritual life, there is a clear order of authority, right? And we know today is Tulsi Saligrama Vivaha, and we know why Vrinde Devi had to come down as Tulsi, because she transgressed Radharani's order. So this discipline, this obedience has to be there. Until devotees are able to recognize their spiritual authorities, they will not make progress because they will not be disciplined. They will live life that the way they want. Hmm. And ideally, we have to set this though. So the devotees who possibly brought some souls to Krishna by preaching to them, by guiding them, etc. Somehow they should be trained to guide them going forward. So those devotees should look up to the person, to the devotee who has brought them in Krishna consciousness, to those who has helped them to come maybe to the stage of chanting Hare Krishna, eventually to the stage of initiation, whoever the guru may be, right? So they must look at those devotees as authorities, as their own authorities. And authority means abiding by what they are saying. We cannot have friendly relations is only with peers. In Krishna consciousness, this is what Rupa Goswami has taught us, right? With peers, even Narada Muni says in Bhagavatam, with peers we can be friendly. But with superiors, we should be service. Our mood should be of service, should be of being under their guidance, right? Submission with superiors. And we have to identify who the superiors are, right? And that is why there has to be discrimination, clearly. Why otherwise Srila Rupa Goswami would be saying Prakrita, Bhakta, Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. If we are not going to discriminate, then we are simply imitating a Uttamadhikari who cannot discriminate because he just cannot see anything apart from everybody being engaged in Krishna service. He is Uttamadhikari. But all of us, obviously, Kanishta, different stages of Kanishta, Madhyama, we should discriminate. So we should identify those devotees who are our superiors and follow their instructions. Follow their instructions, right? And general, this one is like, for example, we should also treat senior Vaishnavas as, they follow them, what they say. Uh, example, temple president, whatever they say, we have to follow. So this is all these position of responsibility, and they are taking onus actually. Those who are spiritually elevated and taking these positions of guiding devotees, it's a very responsible position. So we should recognize it's a risky position. It's a risky position because we might, if we are doing something wrong, not based on Shastra, or we are misguiding devotees for whatever reason, knowingly or unknowingly, it has a huge repercussion on us, on our own spiritual life, on our guru, etc. So we should understand that it's such a responsible position, and these devotees have mercifully taken up this position, knowing that it is risky. So we should, at lower positions, we should actually respect them and allow to be disciplined by them. But many times I see like we are not willing to be disciplined, and many times devotees in the positions of seniority also are not wanting to help or guide devotees under them, which is a disservice. Which is a disservice. We have to do. We have to. I mean, if we, everybody. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh, hamara agnya hai, guru hai tara hai desh." So everybody has to become a guru. Not that we are sitting on Vyasasana or we are giving initiation, but there is Siksha Guru, there is Pada Pradashaka Guru, and that is all position of responsibility. And so we should live that responsibility. We should, if somebody is depending on us, trying to learn from us, first of all, we should help them and we should understand. Then it is a responsible position. I have to train. I have to tell this devotee what is right, what is wrong, because he or she is coming to me for guidance. Many devotees have this wrong notion that, oh, it is Vaishnava Aparadh. No, the Vaishnava Aparadh is most grossly misunderstood in ISKCON. Vaishnava Aparadh is when we are intentionally offending somebody, criticizing somebody without any basis really, out of envy, right? Out of envy, without, if we are correcting somebody or suggesting some corrections to somebody with the whole and sole intention of helping them in spiritual life, then it's not considered as Vaishnava Aparadh. Of course, there's an etiquette saying that we don't go and advise our seniors, we don't go and advise anybody and everybody. Those who are seeking guidance from us, we should advise. It is our responsibility. If not doing it, we are doing disservice. And those people who are supposed to be disciplined, we should be ready to be disciplined. We should say yes. Because see, this independent going in different directions will spoil everything. Because there's no direction. There is no, everybody should be going in one direction. And that is why, in every yatra, in every preaching center, in every temple, we should have a direction. Okay, this is what we are going to do. This is how we are going to do. This is what we are going to achieve. For example, book distribution. Now, so we have like, we get targets right from the temple. Then we say, okay, this is the direction we are going. But we can also go one more level further and say, this is how we are going to approach book distribution, right? So these are different. There are different temples which work at different levels of discipline, right? And those who are more disciplined will achieve more clear, tangible success because they'll go in a particular direction and there's a goal to achieve. Right. Yesterday, like last whole week, we've been discussing about book distribution, and I've been having conversations with so many devotees who have been in the movement for a long time, who've been involved in book distribution some way or the other in our temple. And everybody is saying that, we need to do something. Nobody is reading, books are there. So then I had some thought process. Then I said, we are not approaching it properly. We are not approaching it in a uniformed way, right? Everybody seems to be having their own way, and somebody needs to say, no, no, it's fine. There can be differences of opinion, but I think this is more, this is what we should follow and stick to it, right? Then we will go in some direction. Then we'll create impact. Right. For example, we know, like we had the opportunity to talk to His Grace Radhesham Prabhu. He's so very clear and disciplined. Everything, this is how it has to be done. And then there is result. There are results. So for that requires discipline. If somebody senior is telling something and we're saying, no, 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 I don't want to follow this, then it's not going to help. Of course, we can reason, we can discuss, we can do all that, pros and cons. I do it many times. Many times I don't like so many things that I have to do, but some seniors are saying, I'll just say, okay, they're saying I'll do it. We should be disciplined. Otherwise, we cannot make progress. This is the cornerstone actually of and this is the basis on which we are taking Diksha, right? Diksha kare, bhakta kare, atma samarpan. Not that obedience has to be there. Oh, Guru is saying, okay, just shut my intelligence and just do it. Use intelligence to figure out how to do it, not to evade it, not to say, no, no, how I should not be doing it. Very, very important. See, some say statements like this, the Prabhupada makes is like a game changer, life changer. Um, Many devotees don't want to surrender to authorities, don't want to follow what is being heard or what is being spoken by Prabhupada or what is being spoken by senior Vaishnavas, by gurus. They just want to remain independent, indisciplined, basically. That is indisciplined life. And that indisciplined life is not going to help us. We've been doing that for, lifetime after lifetime. We've been doing this indisciplined, nonsensical life. At least one life, if we can come to this position of obedience, submission, we'll perfect our life. The Brahma Samhita therefore says, Yasyagneya Brahmati Samrita Kala Chakro Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship that original person by whose order the sun moves in its orbit. It is he who gives direction even to the sun, the ocean, and the moon. Everything takes place under his order. So, where is the difficulty in understanding God? There's no difficulty. If one is actually sane, if one has a brain that is not made full, one can understand God at every step. And can we speak like this? And if we speak like this, people will say, what is this? This is not sadhu. Sadhu doesn't speak like this. The biggest sadhu in recent years uh, speaks like this. So we should understand because there's no ill intention, right? It is just simple fact. We're stating. We should also state. There's nothing wrong. Many people say, no, we are not as qualified as Prabhupada to speak. Why will Prabhupada speak like this? Obviously, he knows people will see this and then they will also repeat it. Prabhupada said, you should repeat what the Acharya is saying. Now, when we repeat it, and Prabhupada said, I call people rascals. Why? Because Krishna is calling. Namam dushkritino moodha. Prabhupada says, Krishna is calling them rascals. I am also calling. I am not independently calling them rascals. So, similarly, Prabhupada is saying, we'll also say, I am not saying. Prabhupada is saying, I'm just simply repeating his words. But we are afraid. We don't want to say, oh, no, this is all too much. That means we don't really, we want Prabhupada, but we don't want Prabhupada. We want Prabhupada, we want smiling Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was never smiling, he was chastising. But he was smiling, that was his nature, that's all. But he was actually, his words were chastising, correcting, directing, guiding. Lord says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sashishu suryayoho pranavah sarva vedeshu shabdakhe paurusham rushu. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, light of the sun and the moon, syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, and the sound in ether and ability in man. Why then do people say I have not seen God? Why don't they see God as God directs them to see Him? Why do they manufacture their own way? One cannot see God by one's own way. That is not possible. If one tries to do so, one will always remain blind. At the present moment, so-called philosophers, scientists are trying to see God in their own way, but that's not possible. One has to see God by God's way. Then one can see Him. If I want to see the President of the United States, can I see Him in my own way? If not, then how can I expect to see God in my own way? It's not, is it not rascaldom? I cannot see even an ordinary man in an important position in my own way. I have to make an appointment with the secretary, make the other appropriate arrangements. But although God is so much greater than ordinary men, rascals support the view that one can see God in one's own way. As many ways as you invent. Jatamat tatapat. They say they're all bona fide. This is rascaldom. The world is full of rascals and fools. And therefore, God consciousness, Krishna consciousness has become a vague idea. Vague idea. We should not have vague idea of Krishna consciousness. We should have a very specific idea of Krishna consciousness as given by Srila Prabhupada in his books. Otherwise, we will simply speculate. I see so much speculation, which is just not what nothing in Prabhupada's books or previous acharyas. Just some vagueness, which was never done before. We should give up all these vague ideas, some mental concoction. We should give up. We just think we can do anything and everything and get away. Unfortunately, we can't get away. Krishna is going to hold us responsible for irresponsible, things that we do which are just mental speculation. Otherwise, if one wants to see God, if one wants Him to be always present, as Kunti Devi is requesting that He be, one can keep God always within one's heart. We simply have to apply our mind and senses in Krishna consciousness as done by Maharaja Ambarisha. Savai Manak Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane. First, we must fix our minds on the lotus feet of Krishna, for the mind is the center of all sensory activities. That is why this Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto. If the mind were absent, in spite of having eyes, we could not see, and in spite of having ears, we could not hear. See, the root cause of our problem is the mind. It's the center of all sensory activities. Therefore, the mind is considered the 11th sense. There are 10 senses, 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the center of the senses is mind. Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhya paramanaha manasastu parabuddhiryo buddhe paratastu saha. In this verse, Krishna explains that although we consider the senses to be very important, Beyond the senses, something superior, the mind. Beyond the mind is the intelligence, and beyond the intelligence is the soul. And this mind is our root cause of our problems. So, this book marathon, we are going to focus on mind control. That is one of our book sets. Tension free life, mind control. So, we are doing a seminar on mind control for people and basically introducing people to basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness and getting them to chant Hare Krishna. Right? So, the mind is the problem. Even for practicing devotees, mind remains to be a problem because we are not chanting properly. It's a very simple correlation. Because this Maha Mantra should be very easily, it should be able to control our mind, but it's not controlling because we are just not wanting to be controlled. We are not doing chanting properly. How is it going to be controlled? Hmm. How can we appreciate the existence of the soul if we cannot understand even the psychological movements of the mind? Beyond the mind is the intelligence, and by speculation, one can at most approach the intellectual platform. But to understand the soul and God, one must go beyond the intellectual platform. It is possible to understand everything, but we must gain understanding through the right channel. Therefore, Vedic injunction is Tadvignanartham Saguruvemabhigachet Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. If one is actually serious about understanding supernatural, transcendental subject matters, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master, Mundaka Upanishad. And approaching a bona fide spiritual master is not done the way we are doing it today. Not just as a matter of what is it? Formality. Not done as a matter of formality. Not done because everybody else around me is initiated. Done only when a soul, a jiva, feels like I want nothing else but Krishna in this life. Then he will go approach a guru, surrender to the guru. Otherwise, what will happen? People who are not necessarily ready for it, just for the sake of getting initiated, because it has become some kind of a social status. And then they get initiated, they don't follow anything properly. And what is the result? Affects the guru. Who is responsible for it? We who are preaching and bringing devotees to different gurus. We are responsible. Why? Guru is trusting us. We are not retaining that trust. We are simply in the name of, you know, so many, I have recommended from me, so many people got initiated. This nonsense idea is there. So what happens is, irrespective whether somebody is qualified or not, we want to just get them initiated. Chalo, chalo, kar lo. Have it. Chalo, let's just take it. Who's affected initially? Actually, three parties are affected, right? The person who's getting initiated, he's going to get affected because he will not follow Guru's this one, so it'll be Guru Ravagya, Nama Aparadhi, he'll not make progress, might even offend. Guru obviously is affected because he's initiating such a unqualified devotee. Actually, it's very clearly said that Guru should not initiate an unqualified devotee. And what is the qualification? Surrender. If that surrender is not, then Guru should not initiate. Then who is the third person who is affected? The person who is recommending. Because he made it without clear intentions. So it's a very dangerous thing, it has to be taken very, very seriously. And see, one purport, so many important things, so many important things. Mind control, becoming submission, obedience. And that's why we should read Prabhupada's books. When we read Prabhupada's books, there's no way we can lose track. There's no way we can, not achieve perfection. It's so clear, so crystal clear. Okay, I'm stopping here. If anybody has any comments, questions, discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, many times Prabhupada had stated that this concept of Yatamat Tatapat is incorrect.
Yeah.
So, I think in this year only Amog Leela Prabhu was banned by ISKCON for telling this,
Yeah.
repeating this thing. So, how do I understand this now?
No, I don't want to comment on that because I'm no person to comment on Amog Leela Prabhu. But whoever devotees who are banned would have had a very strong reason, and we should understand that there is a strong reason. But that's not something that we want to discuss in openly.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? See, we have to understand Prabhupada's mood and Prabhupada's position, Prabhupada's stature, way he used to present things. It was very grave. When we when we miss that gravity, a lot of other things come up. So we have to be very, very careful. That is why understanding His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj is writing a book called Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada, because the mood of Prabhupada is not understood actually. In people's minds, Prabhupada, when he's making his statements and he's generally laughing and smiling most of, that's what we remember of Prabhupada, right? But when he is making those statements sitting on the Vyasasana, he's so grave. He's so grave. And people, when they look at him, just think, yes, he means business. I mean, he's here to make a point, not to, speak in such a way that somebody is hurt or, he's, he was just, his nature was like that. People used to just feel that he was so grave and to the point and being so sincere in just presenting the absolute truth. So it's very important to understand the mood and then present things in a way that can be consumed. So it's a very deep topic. That's why I said, possibly whoever did whatever they did knew, possibly they would have taken decision based on that. So, yeah. Anything else? Any comments on submission, surrender? Mm. Please don't forget these lines that Prabhupada is speaking. Okay. Okay, as I've been doing for the whole of last week, every day I'm going to remind all of you, this is book marathon month. Please don't sit at home. Please do something to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Yeah, like we discussed, every small, even a single word that a jiva reads, his life will change, right? And distribute books. Yeah, we know people will say, I have Bhagavad Gita. So that's why we are saying we're going to distribute small books. We're going to give people tension-free life. We're going to give people happiness in their life. And this is our approach to book distribution. And we request everybody to please engage in whatever capacity and make sure that we just meditate on book distribution this month, nothing else. Okay, thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo ananta koti vaishnavebhyo ki jai. Hare Krishna.